Hello, my name's Ian Anderson Gray, and in this episode of the Confident Live Marketing Show, I'm talking about my top mindset qualities that confident live streamers need to have. That's what we're going to be talking about in this show, but we'll be with you just after this.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Well, hello, welcome to episode 107 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. This is the show that helps you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. And in today's show, I'm going to be showing the top mindset qualities for confident live streamers. This show goes live every Tuesday and Thursday, and we broadcast to a plethora of different destinations. The show notes for this episode, when it comes out, will be at iag.me/107. When the podcast comes out, I should say. And the podcast, of course, comes out every Friday. So if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, why not do that? Go to iag.me/podcast. So this show, as always, is sponsored by my friends. I'm just looking for the button. Where's it gone? Because I've changed all my... Well, I've got I've actually got another Stream Deck XL. So I've got two Stream Deck XLs, which is a bit decadent, but it means I've got more buttons. I can do more things if I can find where they are. So I just wanted to say that this show today is sponsored by my good friends at Restream. So let's find out a little bit more about Restream, and you get an amazing offer as well. Oh dear, it's not working. Where is it gone? Let's locate the file. This is great, isn't it? When things go wrong. Well, let's go back. Let's go back to see if that might work in a minute. But the buttons are great. You've got loads of buttons, but if they don't work, it's not so great. So I'll come back to the video I've got of Restream in a little bit. So we're all having fun here. Tim Sawn, let's have a look at our live viewers here. So we've got Tim Sawn is here saying, shout out to your countdown timer. Thank you. I have to admit, I quite enjoyed putting that countdown timer together. We've got Carl Sullivan in the house. Great to see you here, looking shocked and horrified, and also crying, and also happy, all at the same time. It sounds like the life of an entrepreneur. Oh my goodness. And oh my goodness, we've got Bartek Ziemianowski is here in the house. Haven't spoken to you in ages. When was it we actually saw each other? Was it 2019? I feel it was, in Poland. And we've also got somebody watching in a group. I can't see who you are, but it's saying greetings, Ian, and LOL. Hope you're doing really well. Yeah, it's good here. It's good here, I have to say. And we've also got Tim saying, shout out to Restream, and Martin saying, don't panic. I'm not panicking. It's just the way things go here, unfortunately. So we'll come back to that. We've only got one sponsor today, so it means I can play that a little bit later on if it's going to work. So let's have a quick look here. What's going on? Starting. So actually, what the issue I've had here is, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just quit Dropbox. I've run out of space. Anyone else had this on their computer? They've run out of space. So the computer I've got a MacBook Pro, and I've got 1 terabyte of hard disk space. Now, you'd think that would be enough, but the amount of video editing that I do, I've run out of space. And I am in the process of getting a backup, a NAS system, but you know that takes a bit of time to set up. So actually, what I'm finding is that I'm running out of space, and so I'm using a service on Dropbox called Selective Sync, and it means, or Smart Sync, I should say, Smart Sync, and that allows me to keep some files on the cloud. In fact, most of the files on my computer are on the cloud, and then I can then when I need them, I can just download them just with a click of a button. That's great, but with one of the videos that you want to play on your live show is on the cloud, and you've just paused Dropbox. That's not great, is it? So anyway, there we go. So I wanted to share a few things today, some exciting things before we get on with the main subject of today. And the first thing is actually to do with Restream, and that is they've got a new feature. So let's write the right thing here. So I know that's going to look a bit weird. We've got an infinite loop going on. But Restream Studio is amazing. It's a great tool that allows you to have up to 10 people on the screen. You can broadcast to a plethora of different destinations as well. And it also allows you to put the comments on the screen and do all those kind of cool things and overlays and graphics and videos. But they've got a new feature now. They've got within the browser, within Restream Studio, you've got this new feature called Rtmp. And this allows you to connect Zoom or OBS or vMix or ECAMM Live, any of those tools, whether it's a live video tool or something like Zoom, into Restream Studio. So what you do is you send a stream from one of those apps into Restream Studio. Why would you want to do that? Okay, well, the reason you'd want to do that is if you're using one of those tools and you want to use all the cool features that Restream Studio has, such as being able to broadcast to all those different destinations and adding chat and comments and all those amazingly cool things. So this allows you to do all of that within Restream Studio. You just send the signal. It sounds a bit geeky, but it's not too complicated once you know what you're doing. So that's a new cool feature in Restream Studio, and they've got some other cool things that are coming really, really soon, which is awesome. Odie is in the house. Odie Miller is here. Hope you're doing really well. And I hope things are going well with all the stuff that you're doing in the video world. I know you do loads of cool stuff. Oh, it's Melanie is watching in the group. Hi Melanie. Hope you're doing really well. Yes, one of the things I need to do is in the posts when I post to a group, there's a little link that you can click on to give permission for me to be able to see your name. Facebook, it does this kind of thing that if you go live in a group using a third-party tool like ECAMM or Restream or whatever, it for a privacy point of view, it wants you, the user, to give permission for me to be able to see your name. But thank you, Melanie. I will know that it's you. And oh my goodness, Bartek is saying, yes, we did see each other at InfoShare. This is in Gdansk, Poland. In 2019. Oh my goodness. That's a long time ago. Anyway, so let's move on. So the next piece of news that I want to share is to do with ECAMM Live. Now, ECAMM Live is the tool that I use to go live. I use ECAMM Live with Restream. I use them together, and I think that's a great kind of combination, really. So they have got some really cool news. They've just released version 3.8. Now, what's so exciting about version 3.8? It's amazing. And first of all, the thing that I think is really cool is it now natively runs on M1 Macs. So if you've got one of these new fancy Macs with the new M1 chip, it runs natively on there, which means it's so fast and quick. We've actually got a Mac Mini downstairs that the kids use, and I put ECAMM Live on there, and it works so well. It's the M1 chip in there. So if you are wanting to get a Mac, the Mac Minis are actually... It's very inexpensive from a Mac point of view, and ECAMM Live works really, really well on that. They've also got preview mode. I've talked about preview mode before, but this allows you to make changes behind the scenes. So, for example, you could add a guest, you could add comments and things like that while you've already got something on the screen. So you can do it in the back and then push those changes live. This has been something that they've been wanting to do for ages. So this is great. It basically allows you to make those changes without the live people seeing that. They've also got these new widgets, they're kind of supercharged widgets that now work with WebM video. So WebM video is a particular format that is really cool for live streaming. Well, I'm going to be bringing someone onto the show to talk a little bit more about that, but also CSS animations and WebGL and all this kind of cool stuff. Now, if you use there's quite a few services out there that will allow you to create these widget overlays as stream elements, for example. ECAMM Live used to not work with that. Now it does. And finally, ECAMM Live, now the LinkedIn gods have given permission for ECAMM to broadcast to LinkedIn Live. So if you haven't been blessed with LinkedIn Live, you can now broadcast directly to LinkedIn Live from ECAMM Live. One really cool feature that I've been using in the beta version is off-air audio. So this is cool. If you have a guest on your show, so I've got a countdown sequence at the beginning. I've also got a show intro. I can play that and you will just hear that, but I can keep talking to my guest while that's happening, which is really awesome. So that's great. So we don't have to kind of wait in silence for like 3 or 4 minutes. We can keep on talking, which is great. So loads of amazing things. Oh yes, and there's also in the comments, there's now a feature where you can star the comments and they will appear in a different tab. So this is great. If you have loads and loads of comments, and particularly questions, say for example, you can star those and go to your favorite comments, which is amazing. So that's a really cool feature with the new version of ECAMM Live. So this is now version 3.8. It's come out of, all these features have come out of the beta, and now you can do that. And now this is not going to be helpful if you're listening to the podcast, of which I apologize, but if you are, let's just click on this button here. Is this going to work? There we go. So they've now got a giveaway. It's, if you're watching live, this is going to be available for the next 6 days. If you're listening to the podcast, unfortunately, this is no longer available, but do check it out. If you go to the ECAMM Facebook page, so go to facebook.com/ECAMM network, you can find out about this, or you could go to ecamm.tv/giveaway. That's ecamm.tv/giveaway. So they're basically giving away a fully loaded studio. You can get a Mac Mini, that's an M1 Mac Mini, an LG display, a Sony ZV-1 camera, a Shure MV7 microphone, a Stream Deck XL. Oh, I love my Stream Deck XL. 2 Elgato key lights, they are amazing, and a fancy SwitchPod tripod as well. So this is just to celebrate version 3.8 coming out, so do check out that. It is pretty awesome. Definitely check that out. Now let's see if the sponsor video is going to work from Restream. Let's just click the button and see what happens. No, nothing's going to happen. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Maybe it's downloading. It's downloading. Okay.
The Confident Live Marketing Podcast is proudly sponsored by Restream. Restream is the complete multi-streaming suite for entrepreneurs. It's the easiest way to broadcast live to over 30 destinations at the same time, including Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, and so much more. Restream Studio makes it so simple to stream directly from your browser, bring in guests and add your branding, videos and graphics, and view and highlight comments from your destinations, all at the click of a button. Take Restream for a test drive and get your first month completely free at iag.me/Restream.
Well, there you go. It's good when the tech works. Okay. One other thing I just wanted to share with you is some news from me. This is, and I wanted to kind of like share this because I think this is something that quite a few people struggle with, and that is when you know that you need to let something go, but it's a really difficult decision. And I've had to make a really difficult decision just in the last week. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, but I've not really had, well, the confidence or the nerve to do it. Now, many of you will know that I am a trained classical singer. Music's been a massive part of my life. My wife is also a musician. She's a composer. And we both met at the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester. And I went to the Royal Northern College of Music. I was trained as a singer. I also went there at between 92 and 94 to the junior department. I was a cellist there. I trained there when I was 16 to 18 years old. But I've been teaching singing since around 2000, 2001. I've been teaching singing at the Royal Northern College of Music, the juniors department, and that's basically teaching very talented kids between the ages of 15 or 16 and 18 to 19. It's been amazing. I've had the privilege to teach amazing people, really talented kids. Some of those kids have gone on to go to places like Oxford and Cambridge as choral scholars, and to some of the conservatoires like the Royal Scottish Academy, the Royal Northern College of Music, the Royal Academy, and it's been amazing. But as my business has grown, I had to start to let things go for some of the schools that I taught at, and the RNCM has basically been the final bit, the final thing that I do that's really in the musical world. Everything else that I do is focused on my business. And of course, I spend time with my family. I want to spend time with them. So I came to the decision that I needed to hand my notice in to the RNCM Junior School. And so that's what I've done. I sent the email yesterday, and Yeah, it was. So the head of the junior school was actually very understanding, very sad, and I'm sad as well because I've been teaching there for pretty much 20 years. But I wonder for you, is there something that you are doing that you're holding on to that's really dear to you, but is actually holding you back from some of the other things that you want to do? That's how I feel. I feel that, I'm now in my mid-40s. It's time that I feel I need a change. I want to spend time with my family. I want to teach my kids singing. I want to spend more time focusing on my business. I want to have some more rest at the weekend. I want to be able to go away for the weekend, for example. And so I had to make that difficult decision. I wanted to share it here with you. So I'd love to know what you think about that, what you feel, if there is anything in your life that you feel that you need to change. But that is something that I'm doing. And of course, the other thing, of course, is my mum teaches there as well. So that's a little bit of a difficult thing because we meet every Saturday morning, or we have done. Before COVID we did. So I'm going to have to make sure that I meet my mum on a regular basis too, because it was the only time we got to see each other. So there we go. Let's talk about mindset. So mindset is one of the main themes of this show. Mindset and confidence is theme number 1. Tech and gear is theme number 2. And content and marketing is theme number 3. So I want to say the first thing I think is so important is to work out what your strengths are. Do you know what your top strengths are? I went on a leadership course many years ago and I had no idea what my strengths are. It was actually my wife who had to say, Ian, what are you talking about? You've got loads of strengths. Here's what they are. And I thought, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I do have those strengths. So this book called Strength Finders 2, I highly recommend. It's by Tom Rath. And it's not actually the book I necessarily recommend. It is, although the book is very good, but you do get a code in there to access the Strength Finder assessment and website. So when you buy this, you get this code, and then you can go through the assessment, and it will tell you what your top strengths are, particularly your top 5 strengths. And I had no idea about what my strengths were until I started to look into this. So one of my strengths is problem solving. Another one is harmony. That's bringing opposing views, finding consensus in that, and bringing those two opposing views together. I also like to have change to be. I'm quite adaptable. I like to get bored if I do the same thing all the time. So actually, being a coach and a consultant and working for myself, those strengths really work with those things that I'm doing. So I think strengths, it gives you that affirmation. Once you work out what your strengths are, it allows you to focus on what your strengths are. So I recommend that you create a truth document, a document that puts all your strengths in there, all the things that you know to be true about yourself in there, and then it just stops you from thinking those negative things about you, having that false image of yourself. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. So strengths, I'd love to know, what do you feel your top 3 strengths are? If you're listening to the podcast, watching live or watching the replay, let me know if you know what they are. Or if you're struggling with that, get the book, do the assessment. Highly recommend that. The second thing, when you're going live, it's so easy to forget your progress. You forget what things you've done really well. You've maybe forgotten the things that you didn't do quite so well, and you've not really learned from those experiences. So as well as that truth and identity document that I recommended, another thing I'd really recommend is a live video journal. Every time you go live, put the date and put 3 things that you did really well and 3 things that you can learn from. And each week you can go back over those. You can see how you progressed over those months and those years that you've gone live. I think that is a really vital thing, and that's really helped me to focus again on the positives, but also learn from when things have gone not so well. So one of the things I'm going to be putting on today is make sure that you've got all those videos, particularly the sponsor videos, downloaded locally to your computer and they're not on the cloud with Dropbox. So I think that is one of the things I'm going to be writing down. This is great for Melissa. I think this is one of some of your strengths. So empathy and authentic. Those are amazing strengths. Not everyone has great levels of empathy. Empathy is there are always downsides to the strengths that we have. I think if you're an empathetic person, it's easy to feel, you feel somebody else's pain, and that's not always a good thing, but you also feel, hopefully you feel their joy as well. But empathy is a great strength when it comes to live video, because you can feel what other people are feeling and empathize with them. Authenticity, just being yourself, is a great strength as well. So thank you for sharing that. I'd love to know from anyone else watching live what your strengths are as well. Okay, the next thing, now this is a mindset quality that is so important, and that is having a growth mindset. A lot of people talk about this. It's probably overused, but there's the opposite of this is what's called a poverty mindset. This is just thinking that everything is going to go wrong. It's thinking that you don't deserve the success, that other people out there are deserving of that. You compare yourselves with others. That's the poverty mindset. A growth mindset is thinking, okay, I know that I can grow. I've got the skills to be able to do that. I might need some help. You also know what your flaws are, and so you patch up those holes with help from other people, or from tools, or from training and things like that. But you're focusing on growing. You're focusing on growing your business, growing in your mindset, and growing in your personal development. So that growth mindset is absolutely vital. And part of that for me was going on this big mindset journey. I've shared about this before, but perfectionism was a real struggle for me. I tried to make everything perfect. Live video has been great in getting rid of the perfectionism inside of me. Live video is a great antidote to perfectionism, because the thing is, it's never going to be perfect. No matter how hard you try, no matter how long you've been going on this journey, this live video journey, you're never going to be perfect. And it's actually those flaws, the bits when things go wrong, that people actually really like. So my challenge to you is to become a recovering perfectionist. You might always struggle with the wanting to become a perfectionist. But if you do live video, if you broadcast live video on a regular basis, you will realize that you're never going to be perfect. So 50% perfect and going live is much better than 100% and being scared of pressing that go live button because you're worried about it not being perfect. I would even say 10% perfect and done is much better than 100% and remaining in your head. So become a recovering perfectionist. And I'd also say, if you haven't had any live video disasters, you've not gone live enough. One thing that I find is that I definitely need a break. And that's one thing I was going to say before, and I forgot, which is actually next week, I'm taking it completely off. In fact, the last 2 weeks I've not actually done the Confident Live Marketing Show because I've been focusing on my Launch Your Live course. I think that's really important. I wanted to focus directly on that. But next week, I'm taking completely off. I'm not doing any live shows. I'm not working. I'm just taking some time off. I need that time to reboot, to recharge my batteries, I think is the right phrase. So, I find that if I haven't gone live, so I will find that when I have some time off, I just need to remind myself of everything. And it's usually those times when I'm going to have those disasters. But those disasters, they're not disasters usually. They're just little minor problems. They remind me of what I need to do and look at those checklists. So if you've not gone live, if you've not had any live video disasters, you've not gone live regularly enough. Okay, the next one is find out what is holding you back. Now, if you're feeling brave, I'd love you to share in the comments what you feel is holding you back. Is it a tech problem? Is it a content problem? Are you finding that not enough people are watching you, or you're not, something is holding you back? It could be a mindset issue. You're just worried about things. You're struggling with some aspect in your business or your personal life. Find out what is holding you back, and then you can do something about it. If you don't know what it is, then you're not going to be able to do anything about it. So work that out. So we've talked about growth mindset, but the other thing, it almost feels like it's in conflict here, but that is, I think you need to have a serving mindset. You're not in this just for yourself. You're here hopefully to serve others. I love what I do. I do want to grow my business. I want to support my family, but I'm in this job. There are easier jobs out there, but I'm in this job because I want to serve you, my audience. I want to help you. I want to transform your lives. I want to make a massive difference in your life. That's why I get up in the morning and do what I do. So don't just think, don't think about yourself all the time and your business. Yes, you need to grow your business in order to help people. I've said before, you can't help people if you don't have a profitable business. It's very, very difficult to do that. But you do need to be focusing on your audience and in serving them as well. Next one is, and this is something I really struggled with, but I've with the help of my assistant Tonya and the help of other people, mentors in my life, I've become much more organized. I have put together a process for all aspects of my business, or I will be doing, and my aim is to be doing that in all aspects of my business. So organization, planning is so vital. Make sure that you have all those bits planned in documents throughout your business. Make sure that you have a planning document for your live shows so that you know why you're doing it as well. So be organized. Be organized, have that planning document. It is so, so important. Next thing is learn from the past, but focus on the now. That's really important. So the past, you do need to think about that in the sense you need to learn from those things in the past, but you need to focus on what you can do right now, as well as the future is still important. You do need to have those goals. So I think it's thinking about the different tenses, I suppose. So the past, the present, and the future. You need to think about those in a helpful way. So it's learning from the past, focus on the future. Focus on the now, but also have those goals in mind for the future. That is absolutely vital. Martin Buckland says, hooray, yes, we need to share our passion and expertise. Give before you take. That is vital. There's a balance here, though, isn't there, Martin, I think, because sometimes I see business owners actually doing, the polar opposites here. I can see that some business owners it's just a take. It's just everything that they post out is a sales message. And they're wanting to get as much as they can from their audience. But the problem is that, it's kind of like asking somebody to marry you on your first date. You need to grow that. You need to build on that relationship. You need to give to them first. You can't just ask them to marry you on the first date. Maybe it works for some people. I don't know. So there's that side. But then the other side, which was my problem, is I was giving so much. I was giving so much away for free that I actually found it really difficult to actually sell and to say, look, actually, I've got all of this stuff here that you can buy from me. And I wasn't also very good at being able to explain to people what I actually did. So don't just give. You need to have a plan. You need to have products. You need to have, a strategy there. That's vital. But on the other side, you don't want to just take all the time. So I love that, Martin. Give before you take, and we need to share our passion and expertise. Those two things are so vital, definitely. So awesome. Thank you for that, Martin. Okay, then the next one I want to say is to live in your zone of genius. We've talked about strengths before, and Melissa was sharing her strengths are empathy and authenticity. What is your zone of genius? Now, this is from a great book, which I highly recommend, by a guy called Gay Hendricks. It's called The Big Leap. It's a really, really great book. And I love the way he talks about the different zones that we tend to work in. Now, I find some of the book it goes a little bit pseudoscience-y for my liking, but if you look at it through your filter and take what you need from the book, it's an excellent book, and I highly recommend it. So the idea here is that we work and we kind of live in these different zones. So the zone that a lot of us work in is the zone of incompetence. So as you can probably tell, this is stuff that you're working on that you're really not that great at. So for me, that would be accounts, bookkeeping. I'm awful at it. I just can't do it. And so that's why I pay for my assistant does my bookkeeping, and I have an accountant. because without them, I would be working in my zone of incompetence big time all the time. So I'd love to know from you, what is your zone of incompetence? What kind of tasks do you find yourself doing that you're really not that great at and actually suck all your energy out of you? So let's not talk about that too much longer. Let's talk about the next zone, which is actually a zone that most of us work in a lot of the time. And I'm going to be honest, I still do this. This is my zone of competence. This is stuff that we can do. Do we do it well? There's plenty of people out there that do it much better than us. And actually, it's a bit of a waste of time. So your zone of competence is not a zone that we should be working in really at all, because the next zone is a zone that is a little bit more rare, and that is our zone of excellence. This is stuff that you are really good at. And, there are other people out there, though, that are pretty good at this as well. So this is stuff that you love doing, but is it stuff that you really should be focusing on? Because there is a final zone, and this is the zone. This is a very rare zone that a lot of us don't really work in very much at all. Some of us will not even know what our zone of genius is. So what is your zone of genius? Now, the zone of genius is the zone that when you work on this, it doesn't feel like work. It's stuff that you could do in your sleep. You just love it. And it's something that you need to focus on. So work out what your zone of genius is. And I think if you know what your strengths are using the Strength Finder, I think you'll find it a lot easier to work out what your zone of genius is. So that's really, really important stuff, I think. So if you have just joined, this is the Confident Live Marketing Show, and we're talking about top mindset qualities that confident live streamers need to have. And next time we speak, we've got lots of quite cool things coming up, actually. We've got Ben Amos, my friend from Down Under, he's coming on the show, and we've got lots of other guests coming too. So, although I'm not going to be around for the live show next week, we've got some live shows, cool live shows coming up after that as well. So let's talk about the next few qualities. So the next quality that I think is so important is resilience. Are you a resilient person? I was talking about, so if you join me for the Go Live with Confidence show I did for Restream, some of the stuff I'm talking about today is what I talked about on Tuesday. But I think this is such an important thing to repeat, and I think resilience is a strength or a quality that we need to work on, and it's one that I really need to work on. I think used to really struggle when things went wrong, went bad. I would probably go to bed and weep and just be really, really not wanting to carry on. But resilience is so important because it's the quality where you pick yourself up off the floor, you dust yourself down, you learn from those experiences, and you keep going. It's absolutely vital for entrepreneurs. So I like to think about babies and toddlers here, because if you watch a toddler trying to walk, how many times do they fall over before they actually learn to walk properly? It's probably hundreds or even thousands of times. Yet when we become adults, we tend to give up so easily. When a toddler manages to keep going, even though they make mistakes, they fall over hundreds and thousands of times, why can't we do it as adults? And I think we need to relearn that resilience. So important. So be resilient, learn from those mistakes. And I've said this before about becoming a recovering perfectionist, but remember that going live is not about being perfect. It's about being real. This is why Melissa's strength, authenticity, and empathy is so good. There's actually quite a few people out there that really struggle with this, that really struggle with being authentic. They're putting on a facade and they're not being real in front of the camera, and it kind of shows. So be real. If you make mistakes, that's okay. People will forgive you. Your perfect customers, the customers out there that are going to be the best for you, are the ones that are okay when you make mistakes. They actually like that. So, as Luria Patrici said when she was on my live show some months ago, lean into your flaws. Find out what they are and just be okay with that. So, That's important. I'd love to know what you think about that. The next thing is we've talked about planning and processes and things like that, but probably the most important thing here is to work out what your why is. Why are you doing this? What are you able to change in people's lives? Why do you do this? Why do you go live? What is your why in your business? If you don't know that, you've got a real business problem there. You've got a real strategy problem. Why do you do it? I do what I do because I want to transform. I want to get rid of those barriers that entrepreneurs have in growing their business and becoming more visible through the power of live video. That's why I do what I do. I see so many people out there that have these barriers, and I want to get rid of those. I want to help you. And so that's what I do. That is my why. The next one is, oh my goodness, we've talked about this before, which is do not compare yourself with other people. And this has been a huge problem for me until actually this year. For some reason, it seems to be less of an issue. I think probably because of all that mindset work that I've done. And but it can still potentially rear its ugly head. So I don't know whether this is something that you struggle with. Now, when I say don't compare yourself, there is healthy comparison and there is negative comparison. What do I mean by that? So if you look at other people, other business owners, other entrepreneurs, maybe in the same space as you or in a similar space, and you look at what they're doing, you think, wow, that's amazing. So you might look at, for example, some of the stuff that I'm doing. Hopefully you'll think, oh, wow, that's amazing. I love what Ian does. That's great. I wonder whether I could incorporate that or some of that. I might need to tweak it and change it. But yeah, that's really inspired me. So if it's the kind of inspired comparison, if you're getting inspired from other people, that is awesome. But if you're looking at what other people do, either in a jealous way, that's not good. That's going to eat you up. Or, and this was more of the problem for me. It wasn't the jealousy. It was looking at other people and thinking, oh, well, I could never do that. They're just really good. Everyone's going to love them. Everyone's going to think they are amazing and they're never going to come to me. If you think like that, then that is defeatist. And that's going to really eat you up and you're going to struggle with that. So don't do that. Don't compare yourself with others. Remember, you might be on your first live video. You might be on your 10th or even the 100th live video. But if you're comparing yourself with somebody who's been doing this for years and years, you're comparing it with their 1000th live video, then that's just not a fair comparison. And also, remember, they are not you. They are something completely different. They have a different personality. They're going to attract different kinds of people. So stop trying to compare yourself with other people. Be yourself. That is so vital, and I've had to learn that the hard way. It's been a really tough journey for me, but I think I'm in a position now where I'm much better at it. I won't say I don't always fall down this trap, but it's a lot easier. We've got Valerie Pinkston in the house. Valerie is amazing. She's been part of the Launch Your Live, which has been happening over the last couple of weeks. And she's been doing amazing work. I love her live videos. She's so full of joy and she does so many cool creative things. She's very musical as well. So thank you, Valerie. So she says, this is a great conversation. I really needed to hear this today. I think we all need encouragement, don't we, Valerie? And, I think, one of the things that I think, that I feel that is probably one of my strengths is I think empathy is definitely. I also think it's really important to share my struggles in a way that is going to help you to get over yours. So, I don't want you to feel that everything's perfect for me. I've really struggled with some of these things. So I hope me sharing this has been helpful. Thank you, Valerie. And I would love to know from you, what is next for you? When are you going to go live? When are you launching your live show? Okay, so going live is not about being perfect. It's about being real. I've also said plan. What is your why? Don't compare, because actually it's never fair. It's always actually going to be a lie. If you compare yourself with other people, it's never going to happen. The next one is having a passion for learning. If you feel you know everything about your subject, it's time to give up. If I felt I knew everything about live video, my passion for learning is gone. Passion is so, so important, as Martin was saying earlier. So remember, you're always learning new things. Make sure you're pushing yourself, and that you spend some time every week for kind of research and development, if you want to call it that, for you to learn new things. And I'm always doing that. I have conversations with other people, other live streamers, and we share ideas, and we work out what's working, what isn't working. Yeah. So that's so important. Passion for learning. Next thing is embracing new challenges. Now, this is not always going to be the right thing for you. There might be some challenges that come your way that are a distraction. This is why having your why is so important. But embrace those new challenges. It could be going live in a new way and trying that out. So embrace those challenges. Next thing, and this is vital. I've kind of mentioned this right at the start, but I want to revisit this. And this is having a true view of yourself. The key word there is true, because so many of us have a negative view of ourselves. I'll say that, a negative view of ourselves, but it's also a complete lie. We build this view of ourselves and it's completely rubbish. So you need to create this truth and identity document that I mentioned before, and put down all the strengths, all the things that you know to be true about yourself. And you need to read that document on a regular basis, ideally every single day, because we can build up this vision of ourselves that's completely false, and it's going to really be a big blockage and a barrier in our lives. So create that. It's called a truth and identity document. And I'd love to know from you today if you are committed to creating that about you. And if you want to see mine, if you want to know some of what I have got, I might share it in a bit. Okay, the next thing is to remember that your business is not actually about you. It's about your audience. I've said this before, when you go live, the most important person is not you. It's your audience. It's the person watching you. It's the podcast listener. It's the blog reader. It is your client. It is your audience. It's not about you. You are there to serve your audience. It's not about you. So remember that when you are getting self-obsessed or worrying about things, remember that's what it's all about. It's about serving your audience as well. And, remember that your audience wants to hear from you as well. So this sounds like I'm kind of contradicting myself, but I'm not really. Remember, you're serving your audience. So don't get worried about the technicalities of getting things to be perfect. Your audience wants to hear from you. And then finally, remember that all of this is going to take time. It's about running a marathon, not a sprint. I was great at the 100 meters and 200 meters at school. Well, before I didn't really grow. I mean, I was one of the, I think I was like second or third tallest in my year, in my first year at secondary school, and then I didn't grow. And I'm 5'4" today, so I'm quite short. But yeah, I was great at that, but marathons, not so much. But it's going back to that resilience thing and being patient. These things take time. And so you need to be in it for the long haul. That is absolutely vital that you do that. So I'd love to know from you what you think about all of those things. I'm just going to get up my daily truths and affirmations document here. And is this right? Is this the right one? Let's have a quick look here and see if I've got that. Life, here we go. Daily Truths, I think that's the right document. Yeah, so let's have a look. So what? So these are things that I know these are things that I either know to be true about myself, but things that I want to be true about myself. So some of these, for example, my emotions are dictated not by my circumstances, but by how I choose to respond. I'm a thermostat, not a thermometer. That's what I want to be the case. It's not always the case, but that's definitely one thing that I want to be the case. Another one, which is not always the case, but I am patient with my family, understanding with my wife, and connected with everyone I interact with. So those are definitely important things. This is another affirmation. I will always be the authentic me, showing the ups and downs of my life in order to serve and encourage others. Another one, I don't apologize for charging what I'm worth. I have a growing and profitable business. I'm supporting my family first, and I will always say no, or I will say no in order to focus on my niche. Not always that great at that, but I'm getting better at it. So yeah, that's basically what I want to do. I also want to focus and be thankful for the amazing gifts that I've been given, and I want to share those with others. So let me know what your strengths, your gifts are. I'd love to know from you. But I think that is the end of today's show, today's episode. I will be back a week. Well, actually, yes, a week on Tuesday, I will be back with Ben Amos. We're going to be talking about video and particularly strategy behind it and storytelling. So I'm really excited about that. And we've got some other cool things coming. And I'd love to know from you if there's anything specifically you would like me to share or talk about on the show, let me know. But I am looking forward to having a week off. It's been quite a busy, hectic time. And I think sometimes you just need to listen to your body. A friend of mine actually said recently, Ian, you looked really tired on your last live video. You need to take it easy. And it's true. You know, I think I have been working really, really hard. I've been going live. I've done basically 3 or 4 live shows every week since January. And that takes a lot out of me. I've had this course. It's also, we've had the kids at home with lockdown in the UK. And I think sometimes it's so important to put that space to rebuild things and also to recharge your batteries as well. It's so important. I love this from Melissa. This is great. I asked my partner Richard for his view of me, thoughtful and caring. I think that's great to ask somebody who knows you really well what they see in you, because they can often be a better judge of our character than ourselves. I don't know whether you think that, Melissa, but that's lovely. And I know we don't know each other that well, but you've been on a couple of my courses, Melissa, and in my interactions with you, I think I would definitely agree with that. You are definitely very caring and thoughtful. You're very authentic, and I do definitely see some of that empathy. So yeah, I hope that encourages you. Those are some of your strengths, and you need to tap into those things. But that is the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for watching live, for watching the replay, or for plugging me into your ears in listening to the podcast. And I do want to give a big shout out to my podcast. If you haven't subscribed or you haven't listened to it, just go to iag.me/podcast, because that is what I'm focusing a lot on at the moment. We have a little theme song every week as well. But I think that's it for today. I just want to encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Toodaloo.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.